Alright, so I already live streamed to Facebook and Instagram, but I thought I'd come to YouTube, just because it's easier to stream on there. So I am going to provide an update on basically what's coming tonight. There's going to be some severe weather potential tonight. It may not necessarily be a guaranteed severe event, but there is the potential for wind gusts of up to 75 or 80 miles per hour. So with that in mind, and with the severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect right now, we're gonna do a little bit of an update. And there's things popping up on my computer like crazy, but we're gonna do a little bit of an update in regards to severe weather that is coming. So before we do that, the storms aren't here yet, so there's not really an immediate concern, but we have a little bit of information here if you want to stay connected with us. You can scan that QR code if you're watching on desktop. Make sure to have a look, and I'm also taking questions, so I can see the comments on YouTube right here. So if you want to pop a question in about the storms that are coming, feel free to do so. I'm here, so just pop it in if you have chime in if you have a question. So we're gonna go right to the radar because we can see the storms pretty clearly on radar. All right, you should be able to see it now on the stream. All right, so I'm on the radar station for Grand Rapids right now. You can see the line of strong severe thunderstorms that has developed and is pushing over the lake right now. These storms will be here on the lake shore in the next half hour, and they're going to get pushed directly eastward, which is basically their current track and has been their current track ever since they formed way back in Iowa. So there was a lot of uncertainty with this severe weather day today. Wasn't really sure what was going to take place. They actually thought there would be a derecho forming in the Wisconsin area that just dropped into the south. But with the unpredictability of this environment, with the extreme instability that we have CAPE levels that are like up to 5,000, which is unheard of unless you're on a very hot and humid day like we had today. Dew points are near 80 degrees, which gives the atmosphere a ton of moisture, and the heat is high enough to where these thunderstorms can just continue to blast off to the east pretty much nonstop. So these storms are going to continue to progress off the east. I'm going to go here because these storms look a little bit more intense than the ones off to the north. But Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, areas like that are going to see these storms probably around 10:30 or 11 in this area. But if I actually take a look at the velocity in these storms, first of all, anywhere you see these pinks and in these little spots along these storm cells, that indicates high precipitation, maybe even some hail. So there could be some hail produced with this storm, and there's definitely going to be a lot of precipitation that falls with these storms as well. So I'm going to go to the velocity so we can get an idea of what the wind is like in these severe storms. Right now, the radar is having a bit of difficulty showing the winds, but this might give us a rough idea of what we might be dealing with. These areas where you see white and blue indicate strong winds moving through. So I'm going to turn on the tool that helps me show wind. So in northern Indiana right now, you have wind gusts approaching of 59, 60 miles per hour, which is right on the severe threshold. But these storms are kind of weakening over the lake because the temperatures over the lake are a lot cooler. So the instability over the lake is not as significant as there would have been over land. So these storms are starting to deteriorate as they go over the lake, but some re-intensification of these storms is to be expected after they come on to a more unstable environment once they hit the Michigan border. So as they approach, their winds are starting to deteriorate. But if we look at these winds out over the lake, 60 miles per hour, just little pockets of strong winds, 70 miles per hour there. So these storms have produced a lot of damage across different areas in Wisconsin. If I go back to reflectivity, it's kind of taking a little bit of a while to load, but you also see that you have this main line of storms right here, but behind it you have just a collection of a bunch of moisture and rain, which indicates that these storms are actually starting to weaken a little bit, and leaving a trail of rain behind it. So there's a little bit of weakening taking place, as was expected, as it goes over the lake, but the watch is still out. Right now, the National Weather Service just put out a weather statement for these storms, saying that there could be 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts or higher with these storms that go through. That's pretty much a high chance across the entire area, wind gusts of 40 miles per hour or higher. So there will be a little bit of damage in some places, but you're getting reports all over the place of small tree limbs, 1-inch tree limbs broken, lawn furniture displays, so nothing too extreme. 3-inch tree limbs were broken west of Milwaukee, which is a little bit bigger. Trees uprooted or snapped in some places. That's off to the north where those storms are approaching Grand Rapids. But really the strong winds that we see with the storm are going to be kind of scattered and spotty in most places, but there could be some damage in some scattered places. If we take a look, one thing that I like to look at is the correlation coefficient, because anywhere where you see a nice circle of blue could indicate where a tornado, if a spin-up tornado were to occur, where it would be. But since there's no really debris for a tornado to hit over the lake, you can't really see where a tornado might be, so correlation coefficient wouldn't really work in this situation. But I may do that once the storms hit land later on. But this is the reflectivity. Now I'm going to show you the models real quick, just to show why the storms are as intense as they are, and as they just continue to, the line has gotten quite a bit bigger ever since I checked the radar recently. It's all going up the entire state of Michigan, lower Michigan. So this is going to progress eastward, but let's take a look at the models now. First off, the dew points are ridiculously high. High 70s, low 80s. That's something you don't usually see, especially in Michigan. So dew point is basically a measure of how much moisture can be held in the atmosphere. So say the dew point in Kalamazoo right now is 77 degrees. That means at 77 degrees, the air has reached the air can't hold any more moisture. So the air is at its maximum relative humidity pretty much. So at 77 degrees, that means the air can hold a lot of moisture. And if it gets to 80, the air can hold way more moisture because it's thermal expansion taking place. So you have water that's able to fill those gaps in the air, and that's why high dew points lead to higher levels of moisture in the atmosphere. So I'm actually going to go to the HRR because it's done a pretty good job of showing what might occur. So I'm going to go to the reflectivity map here. And also I'm taking questions, so feel free to pop a question if you're on here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. No point sounding right now. Alright, so this shows the line of storms. It's showing us, the HRR is showing a sign of weakening as the storms approach. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually do think that they will make it across the lake. They may not be as strong as before, but I do think these storms will make it across the lake. So, yeah, continuing to push east, northeastward. The model is not doing necessarily a good job, but radar is the most trustworthy resource for this type of storm here. So let's take a look at the velocities just updated. It's about to approach the corner of Michigan here, New Buffalo Township, Grand Beach. It'd be best for you to take some shelter with these storms. Let's take a look at this warning in Valparaiso. 60-mile-per-hour winds, continuous cloud-to-ground lightning. Lightning's kind of a threat with the storm, so yeah, something to be aware of. But let's take a look at velocity again. Yeah, still some pretty strong winds on the leading edge of these storms. Sometimes the velocity charts can overestimate the storms because it's measuring only certain spots in the atmosphere where the storms are. But 65-mile-per-hour winds, that 74 miles per hour recorded in one place, radar indicated. So 60-mile-per-hour winds, it's going to be spotty, like I said before. So some places will see severe winds, some places won't. And that's pretty much how most storms are. So feel free to chime in with a question if you have them. I see some people just joined the stream. But this is the line of storms we're dealing with right now. This is the big concern. Severe wind potential up to 75 miles per hour based on what the Storm Prediction Center has said. So we are tracking it real quick. But I've pretty much said everything I need to say, so I'm willing to take questions for anyone who's interested. And meanwhile, while I wait, I'm going to continue to check out some information about these storms. Scattered damaging winds and isolated significant gusts of 75 miles per hour. Large hail to 1.5 inches. I think that chance is low. That's a little, but they said that's isolated. So continuing until 3 a.m. So it's going to be a long night for some people. They'll be on the lakeshore of Michigan and probably into South Bend around 10 p.m. Progressing eastward from there. That's all the counties that are in the severe weather threat. There's only a couple warnings out just southeast of Chicago along the lakeshore, because all of these storms except for a couple of them are over the lake right now, just the southern tip of these ones. So what might be a good map to look at with these storms is the Chicago station. Let's take a look there. Oh yeah, that gives us a bit of a clearer picture. So if we take a look at the velocity chart there, pretty high winds coming off of these storms, 76 miles per hour. That's actually a little bit more significant than what other models are putting out. But yeah, wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour will remain possible. Again, if you're just jumping in, we got a line of stronger storms approaching northern Indiana and south and lower Michigan pretty much. This line is continuing directly eastward, and if I were to give you a rough idea of when these storms are going to hit, it's going to hit right around the lakeshore area and South Bend around 10 p.m. and then continue pretty much down that way, probably arriving in Battle Creek around 11. These storms are moving. Let's check how fast they're moving. We can get an idea. 35 knots, so about 40 miles per hour. Not extremely fast, but feel free to chime in with a question if you have one about the storms that are approaching. I did give information about these storms, so pretty much isolated significant wind gusts to 75 miles per hour will be possible. This is from sbc.no.gov, so this is from the official site. Isolated large hail events to 1.5 inches. I think that chance is less. We'll probably just see more damaging wind threat from this. Where will get hit the worst? Hockey Bricks asks. It's really hard to tell with just looking at this, because remember when we looked at the velocity chart showing the measurement of wind speeds in the storm, it kind of gave us more spotty showings of where damaging wind gusts are, like these areas where there's blue. It's really scattered, so certain places will get hit worse than others. I'd say places that are more out in open fields or areas like that will get hit more worse than towns, I guess, because out in the open you have a lot less obstructions to wind, so wind can really pick up in those areas. So rural areas are more likely to get hit than towns. But towns can still see some damage. They're definitely open to that. But just thinking about how wind works, that would be my assumption. And again, I showed this before, but these storms are just feeding off an intense amount of moisture, major instability, dew points in the upper 70s, near 80 in some spots. We had really hot temperatures today, temperatures near 100 degrees, which, ouch. But that just leads to enough instability in the atmosphere. CAPE, we call it CAPE, instability of levels of 4,000 to 5,000 in a lot of places. And CAPE levels in Wisconsin, northern Illinois were about 6,000 when these storms hit. So it was very high instability once these storms developed, and they just have fed off it. You can see how the instability behind these storms is just so much lower because it's all being fed into these storms that are moving across the lake. Alright, I just got a thing on my phone. They just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Van Buren County. I'm going to have to wait for that to be updated on my weather map, and then we'll get an idea of what the National Weather Service thinks of these storms. Yeah, we'll see. But these storms are getting kind of close to the lakeshore now, so it's about the right time where they issue a warning for Van Buren County. Van Buren County is under a severe thunderstorm warning. Not specifically sure what the polygon is yet, but somewhere within that county there is a severe thunderstorm warning. Probably show up in just a second. And again, if you're just joining, someone just joined, feel free to chime in with a question if you have one. Moving eastward at 35 miles per hour about. So moving sort of slow. And you can kind of see, one thing that's interesting about this storm is that it's kind of bowing. When it does a little bow echo, kind of when the line of storm starts to bow like this, that's normally an indication of stronger winds. So that's going to be something that is not a very good sign in terms of strong winds. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's some pretty strong winds in that pocket of storms there. Yeah, the radar is not really reading this too well right now. This is probably what they're issuing the warning for right here. These high winds right here, just these whites and pinks indicate this is a pretty strong storm. 68 miles per hour, 73 miles per hour. We'll see what the National Weather Service says about it, because they have a lot more data than I do. Back to reflectivity. Okay, so severe thunderstorm warning for most of the lakeshore, pretty much the entirety of the lakeshore. Van Buren, Allegan, quite a few counties, Montcalm County, wow, Muskegon, Grand Haven. 60 mile per hour wind gusts are the current threat given by the... Have you gotten any new subscribers to your text messaging lately? Hockey Bricks asks. No, but it is available. If you're in Southwest Michigan and you want text alert updates, you can just text Great Lakes Weather to 81010. Or no, at GLWSWMI. I'll show it later, maybe at the end of this live stream, but... Yep, severe storms. In approaching the lakeshore, looks like Berrien County really hasn't had any severe thunderstorm warning issued for it, which is kind of interesting because this cell right here looks pretty strong compared to the other ones. But most likely, these storms are going to be the strongest once they hit the lakeshore, because they've just had all of this flat surface along Lake Michigan to just build up strong winds that'll just push right into the inlet. So severe thunderstorm warnings may not even continue into the mainland if the winds don't keep their intensity. But instability in Cape is really high in this region here. Cape levels of 3,000 to 4,000 are still around. So these storms could intensify again once they hit the lake. And it looks like, in fact, we've had some storms, some little cells ahead of the main line start to develop right there. That's a lot of rain, man. Yeah, it's a lot of rain, I tell you. Yeah, rain is probably one of the bigger threats. Maybe a little bit of flash flooding. Looks like on MPing you have a lot of different reports of flooding in the area, rain. Yeah. Spotter Network report actually says 7-inch diameter tree branch blocking right half of the road in Wisconsin, where the storm just rolled through. Looks like some heavy-duty flooding is on its way. Hopefully not, but it's definitely going to be it's going to produce a lot of rain. It's moving slow, 35 miles per hour. So if flash flooding does occur, there's just so much moisture in the atmosphere, it could just rain buckets. So the big threats are damaging winds up to 75 miles per hour. Right now, maybe not around 75 miles per hour, but frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, or continuous in some spots. Looks like the storm is starting to re-intensify a little bit. But continuous cloud-to-ground lightning and the heavy rain threat is there. Especially looks like right around this area. Let me change the map here. Looks like you've got a line of strong storms starting to develop in Illinois, with where there's instability down here as well. Let's get a track on these. Let's get a loop going, actually. That'll help me see it. Okay, so these are moving with the main line. They're moving eastward. If these continue to intensify, they could produce some severe weather in Indiana. But that cell is looking high precip. Nice big purple dot just appeared in it. Probably some hail too. How long will the storm last in the Branch, St. Joe, and Kalamazoo County areas? Well, if we go to the Storm Prediction Center's map, I am thinking they will last probably a little bit past midnight in all these areas, because the watch is out for 3 a.m. until 3 a.m. and it ends in around Jackson and Lansing areas. So I think they could last until midnight or a little bit later. Storms will be fairly fast, so with luck it won't be too long. Yeah, hopefully we're lucky. They may be speeding up. Let me take a look at what they're saying. Moving east at 50 miles per hour. Yes, the storms are speeding up a little bit. 50 miles per hour. It's pretty quick movement. Yeah, so 50 miles per hour means a little bit less rain, but possibly the potential for some stronger winds. Looks like the storms on the southern end of this line are starting to show signs of weakening. Let's take a look at the velocity again on these. Velocity on these storms. Let's pause the loop. Yeah, the wind here isn't really as strong right here. Still pretty strong down there where they issued that warning near Michigan City. That's why that warning's still out there. There's just so much instability in the atmosphere right now. These storms are just feeding off it. Cape levels of 4,900. Or how long will it have the strength to power its way into Ontario too? I would say in Ontario, it could possibly make it there. Probably not as strong, because now that the sun's down, we're gonna start to be losing instability. So instability will begin to go down if I progress this map a little bit forward. Yeah, instability's still there. I mean, the dew points are high enough, but they could make it into Ontario. I don't think they'll be as strong as they were earlier today in places such as Wisconsin. Let me go to a better reflectivity map. Yeah, models are pretty much saying that rain is going to start. The storms are going to start to weaken as they hit Michigan, and this model isn't even saying there should be storms here right now. So yeah, but it looks like they'll start to die out. Yep. Let's take a look at the supercell composite on this map here. Glad you're here, Rod. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, supercell composite isn't high for these storms. So supercells aren't really a big concern. Supercells are the precursors to tornadoes. So it's not, the composite isn't really high. The real threat from this is damaging winds, and it has been. So still no warning out for Berrien and Cass counties. Guess the National Weather Service hasn't really seen models point to strong winds that direction. But yes, there's definitely strong winds moving into Britt, Ontario. Oh, okay. Georgian Bay. I see. Yeah, I think the storms probably will weaken before they get there. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Looks like there's some pretty nice rotation on the northern end of Michigan there. They issued a warning up near Boyne Falls. Strong winds. You guys got hammered last week with lots of flooding. Yeah. I think I drove through some of those storms. I was in the Upper Peninsula a little while ago. A lot of rain up there. Century storm. Yeah. Pretty intense. Alright, so they're starting to hit the lakeshore. Yeah, sometimes you get those kinds of storms. Honestly, probably some of the storms that we've had here this year, probably some of the most active weather I've seen around Michigan all in my entire lifetime. I've lived here my whole life. Unfortunately, during the big tornado outbreak we had here a couple of weeks ago, I was down in Texas for good reasons, but yeah, missed out on a pretty cool storm chasing opportunity that day. Watched it from Texas though. Pretty crazy stuff. It's been a long time since Michigan's seen severe weather like that. It's been a pretty active year for severe weather across this area. Seems like it's been for you guys too. Britt, Ontario. Let's see if I can take a look and see where that might be. Britt, Ontario. Let's find that. Okay, so you guys are way up there. Britt, Ontario. Yeah, I think these storms probably won't remain as strong in Britt, Ontario. I don't think they'll make it up there. Instability is really high farther down to the south, but since you're coming right off the bay, I think these storms will probably die out before they even get close to you. So Pretty cool to live on a bay, though. We'll keep that marked for reference, just in case these storms do happen to hit near there. Alright, nothing really changing right now. I'm going to get back to the regular maps here. One thing I want to keep an eye on is rotation, because some meteorologists were saying there's the potential for more supercell structures across northern Indiana. There's some pretty strong winds in Michigan City right now. I'm surprised there's not a warning on it. Because looking at that, that's high winds. 60 miles per hour. Might be a water spout out on the lake right here. There's green right next to red. So basically what you're looking at with this velocity chart is that you're anywhere where you see green is basically wind that's going toward the radar station. Wind's going towards it. So basically winds are out of the southwest right now. You can see these winds are going towards this radar station right here. And then red indicates winds going away from the radar station. So heading off to the northeast right there. So looking at this map, when you see green right next to red, like for example right around here, that could be an indication of like a water spout or maybe a little spin up tornado right in that area there. Far enough inland that you don't get the total brunt of the worst storm. That's good. The total brunt, yeah. If you're on the lake shore, you really get the brunt of storms more often than others. So yeah, there's just so much moisture down here right now. Just the fact that we have such high dew points is a major contributor to just how intense this line of storms is in western Michigan. So for those of you that are just hopping on, feel free to chime in with a question if you have one. 9:56 right now. These storms just hitting the lakeshore at 10 p.m. as forecasted. So no surprise there. And if you want to stay with us as we continue to forecast this throughout the evening, once I sign off for the evening, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, obviously, because you're here. Also have text notification system. You can read about that on the website that's linked in this channel. But yeah, there's just so very intense line storms going through here. And I will say, if you're joining me, I'm not a trained meteorologist. I have been forecasting for a university down in Southwest Ohio known as Cedarville University for 3 years. So I have some experience in weather forecasting. Okay, they just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Berrien County. Rod says lake levels are way back up again. Yep, you're exactly right. The lake levels, I was in Lake Superior. I was up near Apostle Islands in this area earlier this week, and they said the lake levels are 8 inches higher than normal, and it's actually been going down for a little while. So lake water levels in Michigan are also really high. The erosion on Lake Michigan shoreline is just crazy. I've been to some of the beaches there, and there's houses that are close to the edge. So I'm sure these storms aren't helping with that. Alright, I'm waiting for that polygon to pop up for Berrien and Cass counties. Should show up. Again, if you were just joining, there is a threat of severe thunderstorms. How long will you be broadcasting tonight? Honestly, I may broadcast for a little while. I've got some time in my hands. So 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail with the storm that was they just put a warning out for along Berrien County and going northeast, which is interesting. I want to get a storm track on this one. This one's going off to the northeast while all of this went to the east. Need to find the layers. Come on, show me the layers. There they are. Alright, I want to see a storm track on that one. It looks like these storms are starting to take a shift off to the northeast. This storm has a tornadic signature on it. Let's take a look at that on velocity charts here. Grand Rapids Station, good. If we can see the tornadic signature. It's not really that great. That's a misread. Let me move down to the Indiana station. Yeah, it's sensible that they issued a warning here. Wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour. As these storms approach, I'm probably going to end the live stream and go out there and actually take some pictures of the storms as they're coming in. This right here might be... Can't really read it too well. But there's quite a bit of rotation out here along near Allegan County, which is a little bit concerning. Perfect. So you've got access to it. I think I have access to your guys' radar station up in Ontario too. So if I select here, it says yours is offline where you guys are at. So might just be an error within the application that I use. Alright, I want to see if they've published anything about... That's not what I wanted to go to. SPC Storm Prediction Center. There we go. Alright, so they're forecasting 40% chance of thunderstorms here, which is interesting because thunderstorms extend all the way up into the Upper Peninsula right now. So, interesting that they put that out. What's the weather looking like for the next few days? That is actually a very good question because it's still looking stormy. Tomorrow, in fact, there is a threat of severe weather that's a little bit broader across Indiana, Ohio, and southern Michigan. So that's going to be something to talk about tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be able to do a live stream for that tomorrow. Hopefully I'll find some time to do so. That's actually extending into the Upper Peninsula and may extend up into Ontario. If I go up to day 3 for the Storm Prediction Center, that's extending southward into southern Lower Michigan, extreme southern Lower Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. So there's still warning of the possibility of some strong storms that day too. That's actually impacting Cedarville. If anyone from Cedarville University is watching, this area right here, marginal risk for severe weather. They just issued another severe thunderstorm warning. This time once again for Berrien County and for Kalamazoo County this time. This is the county that I'm in, so. Yeah, honestly, you go anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, it's the land of the extremes. Weather always changes like crazy. Like, earlier today, most weather models were forecasting that these storms that have developed here would actually develop along a line along northern Wisconsin and push down to the south. But given that the storms developed back here earlier in the day and pushed eastward, we've just been following these storms throughout the day, and they've gone nonstop with the extreme amount of instability that we have out there. Alright, I want to take a look at the velocity again, because these storms are actually hitting the lakeshore now. Probably some damage damaging winds. Probably expecting some damaging wind reports near Douglas, Port Sheldon, maybe Muskegon. Let me see if I can find where some spotters are at. Alright. Severe thunderstorm warning out for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts across the same stretch of counties that was before. There's severe thunderstorm warnings all along the lakeshore now. Everywhere along the western side of the lakeshore. These could be pretty strong. There's enough instability to just continue fueling these storms as they push eastward. So I'm actually going to go to a lightning count on my phone, because I have on my phone app it tracks lightning. A lot of lightning with these storms moving in. Rotation occurring off to the west of Van Buren County. Right here with this storm cell, there's rotation. Continuous cloud of ground lightning, non-stop, practically. So it's going to be a pretty loud evening if you're trying to sleep. Too bad they can't send some of this out here. Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch. I mean, I don't chase at night though, because there's really no point to it. I can just take pictures of lightning here, but you can't really see much when it's at night. Wow, severe thunderstorm warnings all over the western side of the lake. Pretty active. Alright, let's go back to the severe weather threats for this storm event, because they may have updated them with the latest convective outlook. That's the smallest enhanced risk area I've ever seen for any risk area. Yeah, damaging wind threat still there, hail threat low, tornado threat almost non-existent here. So, but it is good to watch for rotation, because spin-ups still do happen even in places where tornadoes aren't expected. So who knows? Given the favorable environment that we have, maybe they will make it out to your area in Ontario. Let's look up here where it's closer. These are pretty strong storms hitting Traverse City right now. Check the wind speed on that. Wind speed isn't really super high. I think it's with the storms back here that the winds get more concerning. Yeah, these storms are ahead of the main line that's producing the damaging winds. Alright. Let's see if there's any chasers on these storms. We've got a few chasers out there. Let's go back to... Yep, these storms are starting to approach more severe levels in Illinois, moving eastward. Wouldn't be surprised they start put warnings out on these soon. Rotation in that one. Red right next to green. That's a small bit of rotation there in northern Indiana. Let's zoom this out. I don't know. Yep, central Michigan's really facing the brunt of it. Right here. Central and southern Michigan. These storms here are lifting northeast, though. All these storms have really shifted northeastward on their approach. Let's take a look at the map. So what I'm expecting is that This cell here will move in this direction. This cell here, looks like a little bit of a stronger cell, a more heavy precip cell, will move into the Sherwood, Factoryville region. Then all these cells will just continue shifting northeastward as well, until they're completely out of the area that we cover. Let's look at the right there. I think we're going to go live on Facebook too. I'm going to see if I can get Facebook running on here real quick. So I'm going to go off screen for a minute. We're going to get on Facebook also because there's quite a bit happening. Let's see if Facebook can pick this up, even though I'm streaming with my other streaming app. Showing heavy purple zones. I'll have to take a look at that once I get back on. Go live. Where's live? There's live. Let's see if we can go live on Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't see comments on Facebook without. Waiting for camera. Let's see if it shows up. There we go. It does show up on Facebook. Alright, so I'm going live on Facebook, facebook.com. So we are going live. Let's see if I can figure it out. Storms on the in Michigan. Alright, we're going live on Facebook. Boom. Alright everyone, so we are live on Facebook and YouTube now with regards to this severe thunderstorm event. I'm going to try to respond to comments that are put on Facebook, but it may be a little bit difficult to do so, given that I'm trying to operate on different devices here. So we're going to go back to the radar map here and just show you what's going on with these severe thunderstorms that are moving in now. Hopefully you can see it. I believe you can now. We've got pretty significant storms moving in. Definitely some heavy rain producers heading eastward at about 50 miles per hour, producing wind gusts of 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour in some spots. So there's a lot that's coming in terms of the severe weather that's taking place. So I'm just going live to keep a track on it for you and let you know when it hits your area. I'm not going to be on for terribly much longer because these storms will start to arrive in my area and I'm going to go capture some footage. But for now, take a look at the velocity of the measure of wind on this storm. The feedback errors from this radar is pretty. I just got onto your Canadian weather radar and I see the purple. You see the purple? Let's see what I can see on the Canadian radar. If I go to this one, this is the closest one I can get to. So my computer's fan just kicked in like big time. A lot of streaming happening right now. Let's see if I can go to the reflectivity, get a better idea of what's going on. Yeah, unfortunately my application doesn't show the range the same way. These storms are showing signs of a little bit of weakening. Severe thunderstorm warning updated for Van Buren. I think the main section of wind is right here. Right along that little area of radar where you just see the band of, I bet you there's a shelf cloud. Yeah, it's severe. And there's definitely bowing with it, but which means there's some pretty strong winds ahead of the main line of rain. And this could last a while because, thinking about it, you have so much hot air out here, hot air, and then it's just being pulled into the updraft of the storm, and then this rain-cooled air on the backside is just sending a downdraft that just sends high winds out into the, because air moves from higher pressure to lower pressure, and hotter air has creates lower pressure because the hot air rises. So yeah, that strong wind at the base of the storm could be pretty decent, especially with that bowing. Alright, let's see if there's any comments on Facebook real quick. Nothing too exciting going on. Yeah. North and west fronts are merging into one big pile of rain. Yep. Let me take a look at that real quick off to the north. Alright, so yeah, hopefully we don't get flooded out pretty bad. Alright. The Facebook is causing my frames to drop on YouTube, so if you're on Facebook right now, you can go to my YouTube channel. There should be a link to my YouTube channel somewhere on my Facebook page. There's definitely one on my Instagram page. So go there and you can access the YouTube stream from there. Alright, I'm going to sign off on Facebook real quick, because it's messing with the frame speeds. And quality is key. There we go. Alright, so now it's showing some pretty good purples with these cells here in Grand Rapids. Looks like some pretty intense winds there. Yeah, good chat. Thanks for joining. I'm going to take a look at Twitter, because Twitter usually has a lot of meteorologists that send in information about strong to severe storms in the area. A lot of meteorologists are saying tomorrow looks pretty crazy for some severe weather, so I'm going to want to take a look at that sometime soon. That wind is pretty strong in Grand Haven. But I don't know if I'm getting the best. Yeah, some strong winds. I think there's going to be some strong winds with these storms. Wow. Okay, I'm actually going to pull that up on here, because that's actually pretty impressive. Some of the photos coming in from these storms from earlier today. Let's go to Twitter real quick. Alright. So let's see, I need to get into... I don't need to create an account, I need to log in. Sorry about this, everyone. Just trying to get some photos going. So, bear with me. I'd like to show you guys some photos. Severe thunderstorm warning just updated for Berrien County. Alright, I'm going to pull up a picture of a shelf cloud if I can find it again. Pretty impressive. It's not showing up. See ya, thanks for joining the stream. We'll get back to the map real quick in just a minute. I'll look for it a little later. I can't seem to find it right now. Alright, I'm going to log off of the stream in just a minute, but give you one last update. Again, pretty strong winds with these storms, wind gusts of 60 to maybe 70 miles per hour in some places, progressing eastward across pretty much the entire lower peninsula of Michigan right now. So definitely a good time to seek shelter if you're in one of these severe thunderstorm warning polygons, broad ones, especially if you get into these areas in Michigan. 60 mile per hour wind gusts. I think these are just warnings put out just for the potential for strong winds anywhere popping up. So continuing to progress eastward throughout the night. Expected to weaken later in the night. But still a pretty robust severe weather threat that's formed across the region this evening. Tomorrow there's also a severe weather threat. I'm gonna have to take a look at it because a lot of people are saying it looks actually pretty decent tomorrow. So I will keep my eyes peeled in regards to that. But for now, everyone have a good evening, and thank you for joining this stream. And remember to stick with us on this channel, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Well, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram especially, for continuing updates on these weather events. So have a good evening, everyone, and I'll keep you posted on Instagram. So stick with me there at GL Weather.